Hey guys, HTV here, and welcome back to another Pokemon Sun and Moon video. Now, one of the many phenomena of the Pokemon world are the presence of shiny Pokemon. These special Pokemon don't have any added stat bonuses or anything like that, but they come with a different color scheme that you can't get anywhere else, and they're also pretty hard to come across too. This makes shiny Pokemon more desirable and a way to show off a trainer's dedication or luck. But in Pokemon Sun and Moon, however, the way to find a shiny Pokemon has changed dramatically. While Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire made it relatively easy with chain fishing and using the Dex Nav, the method in the Alola region is more random and more time consuming. With that being said, today's video is going to be going over the best ways that you can catch a shiny Pokemon in Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. I really do hope these methods help you out, but before we get into the juicy part of this video, we should probably go over the basics. Starting off, you should think about assembling a team of well-rounded Pokemon with lots of PP, so that regardless of the type of shiny Pokemon that you encounter, you will always have someone in your team to beat it. It will also really help to have a Pokemon that knows the move False Swipe, so you can lower the HP of the shiny Pokemon down to 1 without knocking it out, which is obviously super helpful when trying to catch a wild Pokemon. Last but not least, having a Pokemon that can inflict sleep or paralysis will also make more difficult Pokemon easier to capture. Make sure you also stock up on enough of every type of Pokeball. Nothing would be worse than running out of items to capture the wild Pokemon with after spending so much time trying to find it. That's pretty much it for the basics though, so without further ado, let's get into the video and I really hope that you enjoy. Method 1. Random Encounter. Okay, so I know this isn't really a method, but I thought that I should include it anyway, just because we're looking into the different ways to capture a shiny Pokemon. The most tried and true method to finding a shiny Pokemon is of course the random encounter option. Just by exploring and walking through grass, swimming through water and caves, you have the chance to encounter a shiny Pokemon. However, this is completely random and the odds of you encountering a shiny Pokemon is very low. It is pretty much all down to luck, so I wouldn't really recommend this method, seeing as there are much better tactics you can use that we will go over later on in the video. The odds of finding a shiny Pokemon this way is around 1 in 4,000 in Pokemon Sun and Moon. This is of course a much better chance than the 1 in 8,192 that it used to be, but can still be very time consuming, especially if your luck isn't on your side. But fear not, because these next two methods will definitely help you find a shiny Pokemon in Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. Method 2. Mesuda Method. This next technique was named after the Pokemon developer Junichi Masuda, who was the first to reveal this method. Introduced in Generation 4, the Masuda Method allows trainers to breed a shiny Pokemon with the stats, moves and abilities they want instead of searching for hours in the wild for one. How the Masuda Method works is you'll have to breed two Pokemon who originate from different regions of the world, so your Eevee from Japan and your Eevee from North America as an example. The easiest way to get a Pokemon from another region is to trade with someone. There are several popular trading sites online that can make this a fairly simple process, such as Pokebay and Reddit's Pokemon Trading subreddit. The two Pokemon must be able to breed normally with each other. This means that they must be of the same species or share an egg group and not opposite genders. If the Pokemon you want to breed is genderless, then you will need to breed it with a Ditto. You can tell what region the Pokemon is from by looking at its Pokédex entry. In the upper right corner, there will be a 3-letter abbreviation for the region the Pokemon is from, either JPN, FRE, ITA, the list goes on. If there is nothing there, then the Pokemon is from your own region. The next step requires you to equip the Shiny Charm. In order to get the Shiny Charm in Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon, you need to complete the Alola Pokédex and talk to the game director in Hehe City on Akala Island. He then stamps your trainer passport and gives you the Shiny Charm. After this, you then have these two Pokemon breed until a shiny Pokemon is hatched from an egg. The rate at which this happens is 1 in 1365.3 in Generation 5 and is even lower in Gen 6 and possibly in Gen 7, but no concrete number is known. This method does of course take some patience, as with all methods when trying to find a shiny Pokemon, but it definitely works as a much faster way of getting that shiny Pokemon that you really want. Method 3. Ally Chaining. The brand new method for shiny hunting introduced in Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon is called Ally Chaining. It is successfully executed by using the wild Pokemon's ally call against them. One new feature in Pokemon Sun and Moon is how wild Pokemon can call for help from members of their species. This not only makes it more difficult to catch and defeat Pokemon, it does give an increased chance to encounter a shiny Pokemon, which to me seems like a pretty fair trade. While there isn't a concrete method found, a lot of trainers have figured out that ally chaining works and you'll need an adrenaline orb, an item you can purchase early in the games. The chances of a Pokemon calling for help are random, but you can increase the odds of it happening with this single use item. If you're going shiny hunting, you'll want to stock up on a lot of these, along with potions, revives, elixirs and ethers and Pokeballs. When you encounter a wild Pokemon, use an adrenaline orb on your Pokemon and the wild Pokemon will call for help. Now that you're stocked up and ready to go, get into battle with the Pokemon that you want the shiny form of. Use the adrenaline orb and keep your foe alive until it calls for help. The lower the caller's HP, the higher the chance it will call for allies, so it is advised to lower its health as much as possible. Once there are 2 Pokemon, you can safely KO one of them, it doesn't matter which, and repeat the process. Each call for help increases the chances of the next ally Pokemon summoned into battle being a shiny Pokemon, so the longer you keep at it, the better your odds. You only need to use the adrenaline orb once, and even if the Pokemon calling for help summons a Pokemon of a different species, your chain will remain unbroken. If the caller faints, the ally Pokemon becomes a new caller. However, this only happens if the ally is of the same family as the original caller. For example, if a Pichu calls a Pikachu and then faints, the Pikachu will be the new caller as it is of the same family, but if the Pichu calls a Happiny and then faints, the Happiny will not call new allies and the chain breaks. A sleeping or frozen Pokemon does not call allies either. This is useful when you want to catch the Pokemon, but should be avoided while still building a chain. This is still being tested, as some people say allies can still call when asleep or frozen. Some allies attack their caller. For example, Mareanie are known to eat Corsola branches. If a Corsola calls a Mareanie, the Mareanie will attack the Corsola. If the Corsola faints, the Mareanie will not call for new allies, which will obviously break the chain. If the caller runs out of PP, it will use Struggle. This may cause it to faint eventually, and if it faints without an ally, the chain will break. So make sure to regularly faint the caller before it runs out of PP, to make the new ally the new caller. The method not only increases the chance of shiny Pokemon encounters, but each new Pokemon that appears will have a chance to get a hidden ability and have better EVs. It should be noted that the Pokemon called will more than likely be of the same species, but there are some species that will call a different species. For example, is Cubone calling for Kangaskhan. I should also mention that other ways to break the chain are by running or ending the battle by being knocked out, or by knocking all the Pokemon out. You also have to be aware of running out of PP when chaining, but if done right, this chain can go as long as you need it to. So like I said, remember to stock up on those elixirs, they'll turn out to be your best friend. But with that, wraps up this video. I really hope you enjoyed it as much as I did making it. If you did enjoy the video though, please leave a like, I'd really appreciate it. I have a couple top 5s coming onto your screen in a second, so be sure to give them a watch if you have the time. And also subscribe if you like my content. That's everything from me though, so thanks for watching guys, have an amazing day and I'll see you in the next video.